Welcome back to another episode of the Miami Heat Roundtable. My name is Amir, and for today's episode, we have Martel. You can find him at the Miami Heat Zone podcast. We got Trent. You can find him at Miami Heat Network. Myself, you can find me at Team to Beat Miami Heat. And then we have Ty joining us. I think this is his second time joining us. It's been a while since we had a conversation. But Ty, thank you for joining. And before we get started, do you want to let the audience know a little bit more about your channel and where they can find you online?
Yeah, so you can find me online at The Real Ty Small. It's on my YouTube. Not super just one team specific, Miami specific. I kind of cover a broad range of NBA topics, maybe some college basketball and WNBA stuff here and there. But yeah, glad to be on here again with y'all. Great conversations. Crazy news that we just got last night. So I'm ready to hop in the conversation, man.
Yeah, we'll start with that because Jimmy Butler is probably thinking, how do I get back on the NBA radar? Because that was the biggest news. I think De'Aaron Fox kind of took out some win from that sales as well. And then obviously the bomb last night, the biggest news where Shams had to say, hey, this is for real. The Los Angeles Lakers even tweeted, this is really happening. Like, Luka Doncic got traded for Anthony Davis and a pack of peanuts. Like, unbelievable. Like, this is fraud, in my opinion. This is rigged. The Lakers have gotten away with this forever, but nothing of this caliber. I was thinking back, talking to my friend who's a Lakers fan, Pau Gasol, who was a 20 and 10 guy and kind of like a Chris Bosh caliber guy, right? He wasn't a LeBron, he wasn't a Shaq, he wasn't on that level, but they got him for Kwame Brown, first round pick, whatever it was. I thought that was outrageous, but they one-upped it right now by getting a top, I think Luka's top 3 in the NBA. Anthony Davis is probably top 12 in my opinion, but he's 32. He's aging. So, Ty, what's your opinion on this bombshell? Like, they did this in the night? Like, LeBron didn't know? Like, all this is so fishy. Like, they called only the Lakers? Like, what is going on, man?
All right, so I was about to go to sleep, man, and my phone just gets blown up. It didn't. I didn't believe it at first. I had to go back and look, and I think when we first start talking about this, the thing that pops off the charts to me is this: nobody saw it coming, right? Like I don't care where you are with any of this. Nobody saw a Luka Doncic trade happening. We knew there were the defensive issues in the finals last year and everything like that, but I didn't think we were at a point where Dallas was going to consider moving away from their franchise guy. And you said it, like, he's probably a top 2, top 3 player. There are some nights when he's healthy that he looks like the best player in the NBA. That's where he's at. And so to see a franchise move away from their franchise guy, fresh off of their first NBA Finals appearance, since he's kind of been the face of the franchise, it's really unbelievable. There are a lot of different things to talk about as far as the basketball fit. Like, people aren't even talking about the basketball fit between him and LeBron James. That's how shocked we are. We haven't even been able to get to that part of the conversation. I'm still in shock. I think for the Lakers, it's really cool because one of the biggest questions that I had was, what is your direction and what steps are you taking post LeBron James? All right. And to open up the post LeBron James era, which is coming soon, with Luka Doncic as the guy you're going to be building around if everything ends up lining up the way it should. That's a really good future investment, right? That was one of my biggest points of concern with the Lakers was, what are we doing post LeBron James? There's not a better post LeBron James move than Luka Doncic. There's none at all.
I agree, but and also the Lakers are the big market, Showtime, Hollywood, flashy destination. What are we doing after Kobe and Shaq, right? Okay, it's Kobe's team. We got Pau, we got Pau Gasol. We put other pieces around Lamar Odom, and then it's like, okay, Kobe's gone, he's retired, and they won a couple extra championships, which was great. What do we do next? They get LeBron James. Okay, well, they're rebuilding with LeBron James. He's the one piece, kind of like right now, because LeBron's going to be in the sun. He's going to be sunsetting soon and retiring soon. He's 40 years old, but they were able to add AD because LeBron can add whoever he wants, right? Like, so you got AD, they got another championship. So yeah, this move, I don't care about the fit with him and LeBron because I don't think the fit makes sense because they both need the ball in their hands. They're not complementary. So they're not done making moves, but this sets them up for the future, which I hate because I hate the Lakers more than every team across any sport, but they are set for the future. They're not done. Like they're going to get other pieces. Like Austin Reeves is going to be gone. They could add Rui Hachimura, whoever they need. Right? They're not done. So Trent, what do you think about this whole scenario?
Yeah, I gotta go. I just got a text important. But Ty, I wanted to ask you a question because we didn't really get to conversate before and stuff. I'm pretty sure I'll meet you again. But I'm kind of going on the opposite side of the Dallas Mavericks. How do you feel how the Dallas Mavericks GM is going about this? He's laughing in the press conference. Now I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. Jerry Jones is one of the worst managers, GMs, whatever in the league. But Jerry Jones would not trade Micah Parsons, who's a top, you get what I'm saying? So how do you feel about the reaction? Do you think there's something up with this trade because this happened in the middle of the night? If you're in the East Coast like I am, they said they only talked to one team, and you get Anthony Davis. And also he says, oh, we're going to rely on defense to win championships. And then he also said one more comment that caught me off guard. He says, we're here for the next 3 to 5 years, and the next 10 years, who knows? I might be fired. Kids are going to be fired. And he's laughing about it, taking the joke. As the Dallas Mavericks organization, they still got to move on with you there and not being there. So how do you feel about this whole mess for the Mavericks? How do you feel about Luka responding today? And you could tell he'd been hurt. But just answer that. But I got to go, though. But for sure.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that was the first thing that I kind of thought about as well, was seeing how quickly this move happened. I was like, that. My initial reaction was this as well. Something had to have happened from a relationship standpoint between Luka and Nico Harrison, right? Or just Luka and Mavericks top brass in the first place. Like for you, again, I'm gonna say this again, for you to move from your franchise guy like this, there had to be some level of internal conflict, right? Like that's the thing that got me so much. Is and again, I reiterate this. We've just never seen a team. Have we ever seen a team move from their franchise guy quite like this? Have we ever seen anything quite like this? Where
without him asking for a trade, let me throw that in there, because Anthony Davis, he was 25 when he went to the Lakers, but he demanded a trade, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. He didn't request a trade. So that's the difference. So
yeah.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, like so for there not to be a trade request, for there to be like nothing in the air prior to this, my initial reaction was there was something that happened. There was some conversation, or there was, some disconnect, some bad relationship stuff. This wasn't just your normal, oh, this makes basketball sense for us type of trade. He can try to make it about defense as much as he wants to, but there had to be something else going on here. And that was my initial thoughts when that move ended up happening. As far as like how he's saying stuff in the press conferences and everything, it's a little weird. I may be trying to take the air out of the room a bit and try to lighten the mood, but Mavericks fans aren't going for that right now because this is your franchise. This is your franchise player, right? You've watched this guy grow from his rookie year. You've loved this. You've loved this player for a long time. Being from St. Louis, there hasn't been a player. We don't have a football team right now. We don't have a basketball team right now. So I don't really know what it's like to sit and watch like a superstar rookie athlete come in and grow throughout his career. That's different for you guys, right? And that's different for, Dallas Mavericks fans seeing Luka Doncic grow from a rookie to what he is now. So like the way he's saying stuff, you can understand the disappointment from Mavericks fans 100%. Like this is the guy we've been rooting for. This guy is like one of the faces of the city. It's weird. But yeah, with how quickly this thing happened, you just have to think there was something else going on, and it's not just, oh, hey, this is a good basketball move for us and defense wins shit. Like it's something else to that. I don't know what it is, but it's something else attached to that.
Well, Martel, before you hop into, think about this comparison. What's if Dwayne Wade, because you said homegrown, became a superstar, won a championship in his third year in 2006, which was insane. Imagine though, he didn't win the championship, right? Like he took him to the championship, like Luka did, even though they got their ass beat. But still, imagine if the Mavericks beat the Heat, right? Wade's third year, and they trade Dwayne Wade his next year in his prime, age 23, because Luka's a little bit older, but you know what I mean? The comparison. Could you imagine, Martel, as a Miami Heat fan, them trading Wade like that? That's the comparison. But Luka's a better player than Wade if you think about it, like from apples to apples perspective. No, Dwayne. Come on. I mean, like the numbers he's putting up, like the expectations, like all that stuff. Like, come on, Luka and Wade. It's different.
We have to understand is that this all comes down to money too, because think about it. Mark Cuban, he sold majority stake in the team. If Mark Cuban was still pretty much in control, like how he was before, they are not trading him. He was owed $300+ million, and the new owner was like, I don't want to pay that. Think about it. We're going to start to see this not only with the new CBA, but these small market teams, because Ty made a absolutely great point. How on earth are you going to trade Luka when you're not going to get another Luka? Look how long it took from Dirk all the way to where Luka is now. Look at that gap that they had. Teams like the Memphis Grizzlies and all these small market teams, when you trade away your franchise guy, you don't know when you're going to get another one unless you get really lucky in the lottery, because sometimes these lottery picks don't hit the same like they used to. So I honestly think that it came down to money. Look what they did with Cat. They traded Cat because they didn't want to pay him, not because, he wasn't a good player. The owner sat down and said, we don't want to pay this guy. And honestly, I think that was half the battle. And then the other half is obviously, like when it comes down to conditioning and being available. And you're going to see, because KG spoke about this the other day, especially how we're going to be turning into Jimmy Butler here. These players they're out here not really loving the game like how they used to, in terms of taking care of their body, in terms of working out, putting in the work and being a good employee. Because that's really what they were talking about. They didn't believe that his work ethic, they didn't believe that he was really going to drop the weight like how he was supposed to. I made the same comparison. Luka Doncic is a playing Zion Williams. Zion Williams is phenomenal, but he's never available. It's just that Luka.
Let me stop you there. Let me stop you there. But Zion has played like 50% of his career he's been injured. Luka played 70 games.
But in terms of
Luka doesn't have the same injury history as I get the comparison, what you're saying, and the weight gain and all that shit. But he played 70, 66, 65, 66, 71. Like he's been healthy enough in this day and age. If anybody plays 62 or more, that's enough. You know what I mean? So I don't buy in that Zion comparison in that sense yet, because Zion has.
I am buying in. Hold on, but I am buying in, like, in terms of they're both talented people. Both talented players. Luka has gotten away with it. You see what I'm saying? If they're saying he's 260 pounds, that's Zion Williams. The only difference is that when Luka gets way down, like deep into the season, his body breaks down. That's the only difference. It's just that Luka has been able to play, and they've been talking about Luka's weight for the longest time. And if he's out of shape and overweight, eating burgers and shakes, it's unacceptable, and you're actually cheating the game that way. Because everyone's counting on you to lead this team. And unfortunately, you see it with all these different players. When you get down to the big stage, you're not available because your body breaks down. Now, pivoting to Jimmy Butler, because it's almost the similar situation in terms of Pat Riley does not want to pay Jimmy Butler. Both sides are wrong to some degree. But when you're under contract for $48.8 million, Ty, and then next season you can opt in for $52 million, I understand they're going to say Pat Riley's old school. He told Jimmy Butler to shut up and all these things. But when it comes down to work production, when it comes down to being a good employee, because Ty, a lot of people, they're going to lie and cap for millionaires. Me and you can't go to work and half-ass, or me and you can't go to work and quit and still get paid. So what do you think about what's going on right now with the Jimmy Butler stuff?
You hit the nail on the head there. I'm going to go to what you said, because that's something that that's something me and my friends have talked about before. One of the disconnects between fans and NBA athletes in particular is when you see stuff like this, and I'm all for player empowerment, right? If you look at the history of the league, there are reasons as to why players have as much flexibility and as much power as they have now, right? There's a context for it. But on the flip side of it, when you looked at certain guys and how certain guys have moved over the last few seasons, there's a disconnect between fans and fandom and being fans of players and everything, because you're like, I can't get away with this in my normal job. And it's kind of tough to sit and empathize with a guy who's just straight up not going out there and playing for X amount of millions of dollars. And that's one of the things that I think has made the viewing experience kind of tough as an NBA fan, is stuff like this, these constant controversies between players and teams, whether we're talking Jimmy Butler, whether we're talking James Harden back with the Philly situation, or whether we're talking about Ben Simmons in the Philly situation, even some Kyrie stuff, which is kind of the Kawhi stuff like this makes it a bit rough to watch, because you're like, man, everybody don't have this flexibility in real life, bro. And it just kind of makes it very tough to kind of sit and root for it and all that. But there's like that's a one-off thought. But as far as how things have been going with Jimmy Butler right now, I don't know. I don't know. this is tough to say. I don't really have an opinion on it right now, because I didn't. The way that this thing is ending is like so different than the way it should have. I thought what he did in Miami is one of the most underrated runs we've seen in a very long time. He did a lot for this franchise. I don't want to say winning with less, but he helped that team get into some situations in the playoffs that they should not have been in.
No,
like,
we have to give him respect. He did win with less. He did win with less.
Cool, yeah.
We can both agree there's no NBA superstar right now that could have taken this team with Gabe Vincent and Max Strus. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Caleb Martin.
And Caleb Martin, that was just that 2023 playoff run is one of the most underrated playoff runs of all time. And if they would have won that championship, that would have been right up there with the 2011 Mavericks as arguably the best championship we've ever seen. You go from being a play-in tournament team, 8 seed, you're going through a competitive Eastern Conference. I believe it was the Celtics they beat in the conference finals, and I forgot if they beat the first 2 rounds before that. They beat the Bucks in the first round, the Knicks. Yeah, so it's like
they don't tell you this. Tyler Hero, broken hand.
Wasn't there?
BBL bubble, BBL Lowry.
Yeah.
Victor Oladipo season-ending injury. You tell me that you go through all these things,
and Jimmy's ankle.
Hey, Jimmy was hurt. Yep.
Game 2 against the Knicks, he was never the same afterwards. Like that ankle sprain, regular season, he's out 2 weeks, 3 weeks minimum. He kept playing. He kept playing He missed 1 game, and he played the rest. Like, and he wasn't as good. He was way better against the Celtics. He was way better against the Bucks. You saw it, but he was still carrying this team. So.
Yeah, and it also makes his career very, like, Jimmy Butler's career is very, very weird to kind of evaluate right now. Because for one, you just have this entire dynamic where in the regular season, maybe he's a top 15, top 20 guy, but in the playoffs, he's a top 5 guy, right? And that's like a consistent theme for him throughout the course of his career, and so it's very rare. For someone to turn it up in the playoffs quite like him. So knowing all of that and seeing what he did with Miami and seeing where things are at right now, I did think this was a spot where he was going to retire at. He has been a guy who has not found his home. Right, he just hasn't. You're talking about the Minnesota situation. You're talking about the Philly situation. I thought this was like the Jimmy Butler team in the premier Jimmy Butler situation outside of Chicago. I thought it was, and to see things end up quite like this. And again, it's ugly. Like I understand a guy being like at the last year of his contract or whatever, and the team's going to look to shop him so they don't lose him for nothing in the offseason. I understand those type of situations, but like, this is ugly. This is a bad relationship. This is a bad team player breakup. This is like a I'm not going back sort of thing. It's up there with the Ben. It's not as bad as Ben Simmons, but it's nearly up there. So to see their relationship end like this, it's been very, very rough, because I did think that they established something amazing. Heat culture is a real thing, and he's a major part of that. No matter what their issue is right now, Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, Butler, and those players, they built something that worked. And so to see this thing end off the way it has been, it's been rough to see. And it's underwhelming, because even last season, I thought they could have done some stuff if they were healthy, right? And so that's why I had some hope coming into this year, because I was like, one of the biggest reasons they didn't do anything last postseason was because they weren't healthy. Guys were hurt. And so I thought there was some promise coming into this year, and there are still the trade rumblings happening. But to see this thing end off the way it is right now, it's been rough. And you never like seeing stuff end like this, especially for a player who's as talented as Jimmy Butler, and as unique as he is. Again, just a really, really rough and weird career. Kind of sit back and evaluate as a fan.
So where do you see him pivoting from here? Because we hear of all the Phoenix Suns rumors. Yeah. Now we're hearing Golden State. And I think especially how all these different moves are being made within the Western Conference, teams are going to feel pressured, especially the Houston Rockets. You know, we're still hearing the Dallas Mavericks, rumors. So which team do you really see Jimmy Butler fitting? But then also, too, it's like with all this stuff going on, like with all these players, KG said it best. They better hope and pray that they don't get rid of these guaranteed contracts. Because if they start tweaking with that, you're going to see a lot of different players play more, and you're going to see a lot of different teams shift their focus when it comes to paying players. But like I was saying before, which team do you really see fits, Jimmy Butler's build right now?
Team that makes the most sense for him is Golden State. That's just my opinion. For them, it's about capitalizing on the last few years of Stephen Curry, and right now, like with Golden State right now, having a secondary shot creator is crucial, right? And Jimmy Butler is a great secondary shot creator. Also adds to a good defensive culture and experienced postseason guy. That's the best situation for him, in my opinion, is Golden State. I know there are like some Phoenix Suns rumblings here and there, but the situation I think has the most upside would be him in Golden State. That's my most simple answer there. I think if you're Golden State, your best option is getting a guy like Butler, who can shot create, who can provide you with some defense, gives you a good mentality and culture come playoff time. It's a brand new environment for him as well. He's never played in a city like Golden State before in that market. Well, maybe not, but yeah. So I say Golden State is the best situation for him. That's the one that makes the most sense. I don't see a ton of upside in a Phoenix Suns situation. I just really don't. I don't see a ton of upside. I know I've seen some stuff about the Pelicans, which like doesn't even financially make a ton of sense for them to make that move. But I don't see any upside with that. I've seen some stuff about Dallas rumbling a little bit. It's cool, but I don't think anything's happening there. I think I don't think they're going to make another massive splash for another star player at this point. Maybe they get some more role players, kind of round out the roster a bit. But I think the one that makes the most sense for both parties would be the Golden State Warriors. I think that puts Butler and that franchise in a much better situation. They can deal with his contract stuff in the summer. But I think right now, as far as winning immediately and having something that just makes sense, I go with Golden State as a spot that I think he needs to go to.
Yeah, so going back to the Luka piece and what was traded to get Luka is just atrocious because we saw Mikal Bridges get traded from the Brooklyn Nets. They got 5 first-round picks from the Knicks, right? Rudy Gobert a few years ago got 4 first-round picks. 1 first-round pick, it just seems fishy, right? Like, obviously, AD is a top 15 player, but Luka's a top 3 player. So the fact that they didn't get, like, 3 picks minimum from the Lakers and the same trade, like, seems wild to me. So do you think, 2 questions, do you think that kind of reset expectations with the market, like in terms of what star players or good players should get? I don't think it will necessarily because that GM just made the most atrocious deal in NBA history. But the second part to that is based on what Luka got, 25 years old, top 3 player in his prime, what can the Miami Heat expect to get now for Jimmy Butler? Because they already said they need to trade him as soon as possible. They've been trying to. You can't suspend him anymore. He's been suspended 3 times. He's out indefinitely, intentionally until the trade deadline, right? So they minimum of 5 extra games, which goes till Friday, basically. Their goal and expectation is to trade Jimmy Butler before he comes back from suspension. But they were also saying, there were reports that there's no market for Jimmy. He's ruining the market by saying the Phoenix Suns only. Other teams don't want to pay a high price for a rental. But it got so detrimental. He's burned so many bridges. There was reports hypothetically saying the Miami Heat would lower their expectations for a package, right? So other teams might then, that's why the Warriors are back in the mix saying, if it is a rental, we don't have to give up as much. So that is one factor. But now with the Luka trade package, what can the Miami Heat even expect? Like, can we even get a first round pick? Like, let's say the Warriors is the best option, right? We wanted Kuminga, Wiggins picks. What do you think Jimmy Butler is actually going to go for now?
That's another tough one because, again, like you said, with everything right now, with how things have been going, the value is so his trade value is so much in question. For one, there's the financial stuff, and then there's the intangible stuff as well. Intangibles matter big time in this particular situation. I understand why teams right now are reserved as far as like where they are with giving up draft picks for a guy like Jimmy, giving up future capital for a guy like Jimmy. Because there's also this too, like he's not the most healthy player as well. Or like there's that reality. We could talk about the situation right now, but there's also just the reality that he's a veteran guy. And this is like not the tail end, but this is like the last half-ish of his career. He hasn't been the most healthy, hasn't been the most available. That was obviously an issue last season in the playoffs. He missed an entire postseason. I'm not sure what Jimmy Butler's value is right now in the market. I'm really not. I can understand why teams wouldn't want to go crazy as far as giving up draft capital for him and giving up a ton of future capital. We see how much teams value that right now. And you don't want to waste that on something that you don't think is going to be a long-term fit and something that you really have to sit back and even financially think about and consider over the summer. That's going to be massively stressful for you. So yeah, I'm not sure the question about his value. I'm not sure. There is a reason why the options right now are pretty limited. And so that's where I'm at with it. I'm not sure if I'm a team, I'm not giving up and going crazy on giving up young assets right now for Jimmy Butler. If there would be a team to do it and try to make that splash that I think would be desperate enough, it would be Golden State, because again, their prerogative right now is we need to try to capitalize on these final years of Curry. And I think Butler gives them a good shot at that. And they do have some young assets to give up, but there is a reason why other teams out there on the market are really, really hesitant right now. When you're doing all this stuff, and on top of that, you just have not been the healthiest guy. There's a reason why teams are going to be reserved when it comes to moving away pieces to bring you back and things of that nature. It makes a ton of sense. So out of any team, again, I think Golden State would be the most, I'm not even gonna say desperate, but would be the most likely to make that big move. But there's a reason why Butler's trade value right now is so heavily in question. It's a cavalcade of things that you just don't want included on a guy that you need to move away. You have injuries, you have intangible stuff, all of that. You have age going against you. So there's a massive reason as to why this is going to be a very difficult move for them to make going down the road here over these next few days.
Now, once again, Ty, thank you for coming on the show. Where can the people find you?
Yes, you can find me at my YouTube channel, The Real Ty Small. Same with my Instagram, The Real Ty Small, and TikTok. Same name. I got locked out of it, though, because I accidentally deleted it after the ban or before the ban and never got back to it. So I'm trying to figure that out. But find me at The Real Ty Small on all platforms. And yeah, and I just put out a video on the Luka trade just last night at like 1 something in the morning over here. So yeah, so I appreciate y'all for having me on too.
Guys, so make sure that you guys go to Amir's channel, Team to Beat Miami Heat, and hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you guys go to Trent's channel, Top Notch, and the Miami Heat Network. Hit the subscribe button. And, of course, make sure that you guys go to Ty's channel, like, share, comment, subscribe, and thank you guys for all the support.